Hey, what's up guys? And here we are for the creation of our lake. So roughly we're gonna create the lake, use a particle system to distribute our assets, the water lilies, the grass, and also the Japanese lanterns. We're gonna then assign the materials to the lake, create some atmosphere, render this image out, and post-process it in GIMP. So let's get started. So I'm gonna firstly activate my screencast keys, and then I'm gonna delete everything, add a plane. In the modifier tab, I'm gonna add a Notion modifier, and as you can see, we get this kind of result. So it's a wavy plane, or watery plane. I don't know how to call it. And I'm gonna take down the choppiness. I'm gonna also take the wind to like 1.5, and as you can see here we have this kind of waves here, but as you can see the geometry is really low, so I'm gonna go to the resolution and bump this to 22, and as you can see here we have this really noisy plane, and the idea here is to get the scale like 0.1 or so, and as you can see here we have some bumpy surface, and to give it a more of a or a wavy or to give it more a wavy look, I'm gonna play with the alignment and put it to 5. So the waves, once you put this to a different value than 0, that means that your waves are influenced by the wind and how much they are influenced by the wind. So if you put really high value, then they're gonna really stretch. Oh no, oops, my degrees, my 0, it's okay, it's fine for me. And add some damping so we don't have a lot of waves. And as you can see here we have like a really nice looking plane. We can also play with the here the smallest, like 0.5, to get rid of some of the really tiny details that maybe you don't probably need. Okay, it's fine. And now as you can see here we have a pretty high geometry density. So we have like a 235,000 vertices for a one plane. And as our lake is gonna be bigger than this, what we need to do is actually to bake the simulation, but also to generate the normals. And what we're gonna do is use these normals in our material to actually recreate this effect while using less geometry. Now let me tell you, for example, if I repeated the geometry or the water plane along the x-axis 3 times, it would be like 700,000. And if we added another repeat on y, then we would be like 1,040,000. So and 400. This is really high geometry, and not all of the computers are able to handle this. So I'm gonna go back to 1, and what I'm gonna do now is pick a path here, change the end frame to 1, pick the generate normals here, and click on Bake Ocean. Okay, it's done, and now we have our normal map that has been generated here. And if we take a look, it looks like this. So and this is the image how we're gonna use later on our material to create the wave effects. So back to Blender. Now what we're gonna do is simply delete this ocean modifier, as we don't need it anymore. And I'm gonna scale my plane by 8 times. There you go. And I'm gonna add an array modifier, 2 array modifier actually, to create a grid. So I'm gonna put this one to 0, 1 here, and we have this kind of geometry here. And next, what I'm gonna do really quickly is add a camera, and I'm not trying to place myself like so, maybe and then I'm gonna Control Alt Numpad 0 while selecting my camera, and it will place it in where is actually the perspective view. And then I'm gonna play with this here to have a pretty much a view that matches what I want. Okay. So you have a lot of freedom here to choose your own perspective and your own camera angle. So I'm going for something that I've already made, so nothing really fancy. Okay, here we are, and let's see. I'm gonna make the plane a little bit, the lake a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna move it there and add another copies, so it will cover the full camera weight, something like this. Okay, it's looking fine to me. So what we're gonna do now is just apply our modifiers, and next tab into edit mode, W, subdivide, T, number of cuts, and I'm gonna put 100. And as you can see, we have a really dense and I could say usable mesh here. And with all of these, we have like only 200,000 vertices beside the ocean modifier, where we could reach some millions vertices. So you can adjust the number of cuts depending on your machine, but I'm not go with 100 cut. I think it's fine. And then I'm gonna delete all the invisible parts as we don't need them, and we've dropped our vert counts by half or so. My camera a little bit, yeah, it's fine. So this is the first part where we've made our lake, so nothing too fancy. Next on, we're gonna paint some vertex weight in order to distribute our particles. But before doing that, I'm gonna save my file. So here I'm gonna call it like scene save. And so let's dig into some weight painting. So I'm gonna Control Tab while selecting my plane, and as you can see, I switch here to weight paint mode, and then I can start painting all what I want. Okay, so really quickly, I'm gonna get the strength a little bit down, and then I'm gonna start painting where I want the grass to be. Really simple, not that complicated at all. Actually, I'm doing something really rough, as we can edit it a little bit later on to look exactly how we want it to be. Sorry, like some bad times. So it looks really messy right now, but once we apply the particle system, it will look a little bit more cooler. So I'm gonna stick with that for now. Okay, and as always, in the towards infinity, we don't see all of the details of the particle system. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch to subtract, choose weight gradient, and then drag towards our front, towards our camera to delete some of these parts here, so we don't have too much particles going there, as we need more density here, as it is our main focus. Okay, so here we are. I'm gonna switch to vertex weight tab. I'm gonna call these swamp grass, and then I'm gonna create a new one. It's gonna be water lilies. And actually, the water lilies are, as we've seen in our reference images, they form clumps or groups, and we can find some that are like moving alone, but in the major cases we have some groups of water lilies. So what I'm gonna do is simply draw here again and near the swamp grass again. I don't have tablet actually, so I don't have like pressure based strength or so doing a little bit. Doing it with my mouse is I think sufficient for what we want to achieve. So I'm gonna make some like so, and again using the wave gradient in subtract mode to delete some, as we don't want to have too much of water lilies in the background. Okay, so here we are, and this is the water lilies, and finally I'm gonna add my lamps. And the lamps actually will follow a path. So what I'm gonna do, add weight gradient. So we're gonna have a lot more lamps towards the background than the foreground to give the illusion of moving. Gradient again, and then I'm gonna delete these parts here, something like so, again in the opposite direction, and yeah, and then I'm gonna take like a little bit of strength and paint over there. So we have like a really low number of lamps here, and then it goes more and more towards the end. Okay, I think something like this is sufficient for now. So let's start making our particle system. But just before that, let's import our assets. I'm going to do so. We're going to File, Append, and then go, for example, Grass, Object, and then I'm going to take all of what I need. Actually, this is what I need. Append from Library. And here you can see our grass that have been imported, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with our objects, with the other objects, sorry, actually. So here I imported my assets and put them aside of the plane, so they don't appear, and they don't give me some troubles when I'm making my particle system. So now what I'm gonna do is group each of these. So I'm gonna select all of the elements and then Control G and name this like swamp grass. Then take all of these again, Control G, and call them just grass. Take these four, Control G, lily, just for shortness, and take again this object here, Control G, and then call it lamp. Okay, so here we have our 4 groups of assets. I'm gonna go back to my camera, select the plane, particle system, add new, and here I'm gonna call it grass, a grass here, change the type to hair, and take advanced. I'm gonna go to the render tab, choose a group rendering, and choose my grass. And as you can see here, as we've done our work pretty good while modeling our assets, the grass is well placed it's correctly placed on the plane. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to vertex groups, density, and choose swamp grass. Oh, no, where is swamp grass? And as you can see here, we have a distribution of our. We have some issue here with one of these grasses. I'm gonna check it really quickly to see. Yeah, it's this one, I think. No, okay. I'm pretty much fine. I don't know why it's not well oriented. Okay, so it's fine for now. So what I'm gonna do is pick random. So it would pick random elements of our group of assets. Go to physics, size. I'm gonna get size a little bit higher, 0.06. And add a lot of randomness as we maybe go to like 0.8. Okay, in the velocity here we can add again some randomness here to have a chaotic, if I could say, gross orientations, etc. And finally go to the children interpolated. Now you can see that using interpolation with 10 will leave us a higher number of grass elements. So I'm gonna put it to like 50 to see how it does look like actually. And as you can see, we don't have too much of variation, and this will look pretty much ugly once rendered. So what we're gonna do is go to rotation here, choose object Z, and then we're gonna add here like 0.5, too much, 0.1 rotation. And as you can see now, we have a little bit or enough variation in the grass orientation, so we don't realize it's CG. So here in random again, so we have a lot of variation here. I think it's looking good enough. Maybe just in the children here, I'm gonna take it a little bit down because it's really slowing my computer. And for the render, I'm gonna put it to 75. Let's go for it. So here we have our grass, and I think I'm gonna a little bit again move my camera a little bit down, rotate it against the y-axis, and move it again a little bit down. Okay, it's fine. Now again, I'm gonna create a new particle system that will be our swamp grass. Swamp. Again, hair, advanced. And practically it's the same process, so we need just to reuse the same process we made. And as you can see here, the rotation is not that good. I don't know why, so I'm gonna take all of these, rotate them y-axis 90 degrees, and now if we take rotation, it should be fine. So okay. Go to the vertex groups, density again, and choose swamp grass. And as you can see here, we have we don't want to be as much as the grass, because that's not what reality is. I'm gonna take again rotation, object Z, add some randomness again with the face. You can also, if you have, you can play with the Brownian. It gives a lot of variations. Yeah, it gives a lot of variation. Also the random size 0.5, and I think it's going pretty good. If we displayed the two, you can see that we have, that we see all of these little parts here, and I think it's okay for now. Again, I'm gonna get to 2050 for the I think something like this is better, so we can see all at sometimes our swamp grass. Next, I'm gonna add the water lilies. And here, advanced. And as you can see, it's a repeating process, nothing that complicated. And again, pick random. And as you can see here, while adding our water lilies, viewport is getting really slow, and this is mainly also because it's a high density material object, sorry, and because actually added also a subdivision surface, so it's getting really slow. I'm gonna show you a little trick that I learned from someone, I don't know who, but if you select like 4 objects and you press Alt and move and modify these values here, you can see that it applies to all of your selected objects, and this is really a handy trick that helps you save some time, so I hope it will be useful. So I'm going to select again my 4 objects, rotate Y 90 degrees, select my plane, go to the particle system, rotation, and as you can see here we have our well placed water lilies, and as you can see here they're not distributed as we wanted, so now the vertex group here, water lilies. And as you can see, this is what I was aiming for, and this is what reality actually is, because we have water lilies are in groups and not separated as in this kind of result here. Water lilies. I'm gonna take a little bit the number down to like 800. And I think it's looking good. In the physics tab again, I'm gonna add some little bit of size, like 0.07, and a lot of randomness, something like so. We can also play with the rotation randomness. Again, going on my object Z. No. Yeah, maybe it's really it's really subtle. Maybe playing with the phase randomness is better. Okay, and it doesn't matter that the water lilies here, some of these are overlapping, because these what actually happens now, you find a lot of water lilies going ones on the others. You can play also with the seed if you don't like the distribution, but mainly I think it's okay. Finally, we are going to add a lamp, or the particle system for the lamps. Again, here, advanced. I'm gonna hide the water lilies. Go to the density lamps, and as you can see here, I'm gonna pick the wall group. If you don't do so, you'll have this, like, sometimes it take the structure, sometimes it take the paper, etc. So I'm gonna make it pick the whole group. And okay, here we are with the lamps. I'm just wondering why it goes there. I'm gonna edit my vertex weight. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna take the number really low to like 100 maybe. Again, rotate the group on the Y 90 degrees. And as you can see here, our pivot point is placed too high. So what we need to do actually, and I think it's a better idea if I merged Control J all of these, so we have a better control on our pivot point. Okay, now select everything, GX. And as you can see here on the left side of the screen, we are seeing our objects going up. Okay, nice. Fine now. Okay, they are a little bit too big. We go to the physics tab. I'm gonna take the size a little bit down. Add some randomness. A little bit, not too much. And I think I'm gonna play with the seed again. Something like so. And as you can see here, we have too much spreading for the lamps here. I'm gonna play with the weight gradient again to change the distribution of them and to force them to stay within these boundaries here. And this looks better, I think. Yeah, I think it's looking good. Okay, so what's the result once we've displayed our, as you can see, we have some of these that go in there, and I don't want that. I'm actually think you can a little bit size down. They are too big. And go into edit mode and get some parts of these, delete them. Yeah, I think it's okay for now. We can paint again a little bit here and take a bigger brush with low strength. So we have these objects that are going deep inside. So here we have it. So this is our main scene, as you can see here. We can add some grass all over in the background actually. So because it looks pretty much empty, so I'm gonna go to switch to some grass vertex groups and then add some of the grass there. Not too much, just a little bit, so it's not empty. Okay, switch back to normal view. Yeah, it's looking good in my opinion for now. So we can't really tell what's the result until we render it. So what I'm gonna do now is stop this part of the video here, and in the next part we're gonna make a test render and start criticizing our work and see how we could make it evolve. So see you in the next part.